What's up guys, Jivan back with another video, and today I'm going to be giving you 10 new building techniques that I'm applying to my own game in this postseason. If you were following the tournaments this season, you know that I didn't make it to heats, which means, I got some stuff I can improve on. So one of the first things that I wanted to do in this offseason was figure out some moves that I don't know that could help me improve my game. So for this video, I found a bunch of moves that are really useful for in-game. So in this video, I'm going to break them down in slow-mo and explain when they're actually useful. Without further ado, let's hop into it. This first move is one that I feel like a lot of people know. I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways to use it. I've seen FaZe Sway and Kenbeans have this move in their video. Basically what you do is you swing walls in the direction of the enemy and then place ramps over your head and underneath you. This blocks all the necessary angles and you can build up a layer without being seen. I've known about this move for so long and it's really useful. I'm also trying to take it one step further and get the ramps and all the walls around me. This would be really useful for when tunneling up layers in endgame. I have a lot of trouble placing all the walls around me, but the way I found to do it is placing the ramps in front of you first and then all the walls after. But like I said, all these moves are stuff that I'm working on in my own game, so I don't have them perfected yet. I need to work on that crosshair placement. This is one variant of it that Kenbeans said I should try out. When you edit out the front wall, you can change directions just like this. All you do is swing the walls and then place the ramp in the direction you're going next. The most important thing about this retake is blocking your angles that you know the enemy is looking at you from. That way you're never exposed to taking any shots. Now, changing directions like this is great and all, but to me, completing the retake in the next way is the most efficient possible and the most flexible possible. You can edit out the front like I just showed, or you can flip the ramp to go up a layer and then just build the walls and the ramp above you. You can literally do this on repeat and basically do it like you're cranking 90s, but it'll be perfectly protected 90s. So as soon as I flip the ramp, I build those walls and place another ramp over top of me. You gotta build those walls fast though, because you're going to be exposed from behind. The most important thing about doing this retake is knowing where the enemy is at all the time so that you never expose that angle. And now the last step that I think will be really crucial with this retake is placing a cone over top of your ramp. So then when you flip the ramp, you're not exposed from above. What I like to do is build walls through the cone after flipping the ramp. And then when I edit through the wall, I can just restart the retake, just like this. Now, if you know me, I have a lot of retakes, so why did I want to learn this one specifically? I realized that in-game, a lot of times Kenbeans and I will be boxed up and the enemies are above us, and then when we go to take high ground, I don't know the best retake to do. This retake here is so good for when you're leaving a box. You can see when I edit out the box and do the retake, it's just like all my angles are covered, so this is a great approach to that. I knew I needed to learn this retake to really be able to handle those situations. The next building technique is one I saw from Malabuka when I was VOD reviewing his duo FNCS. So this is called a cheap tarp, when you just place floors underneath you and ramps behind you, blocking like very few angles. It's a cheap tarp, it saves you mats. Well, when I saw Malabuka do this, he was placing the floors and ramps way further away from him. So basically he builds the cheap tarp and then goes through the cheap tarp. The way I did it before is I would be on the floor that I'm placing the ramp, but you can see that Malabuka extends it far from him. The reason this is so good is because then when you're running through the cheap tarp, you can also build walls of extra protection from angles that you think you're about to get shot from. So what I'm going to be doing in the offseason with this move is practice placing it further from me like I just talked about, but also practice building floors above me, building walls to my sides. That way the cheap tarp is as protected as I possibly can make it. Obviously the point of a cheap tarp is to save mats, but if you know you're about to get shot from an angle, you just build an extra wall. And because you're extending it far from you, it gives you time to do that. The hardest thing about this is when you're extending these builds far from you, it can sometimes be hard to get that crosshair placement down so that you're not building extra ramps in places that you don't want it. So it's definitely going to take some practice, but I think it'll be so worth it. So the next thing I've been practicing, and this is just a little thing that I know I need to work on, I'm practicing getting comfortable flipping my ramps so that I can slide down. The main reason I need to practice this is because I never had a good rotate build bind, so I recently switched it to one that's a little bit easier to press, but I gotta build comfort with it, so I gotta practice this. You might not, but I do. The next move that I still need to work on, I'm getting better at it. I've put this in a couple retake videos, but it is really advanced. This move right here. This one can be paired up with the first one so well. So how you do this is you place walls behind you with a cone on top, but but you land on your ramp when you jump and do that. Then you edit the cone, place walls and a cone on top, flip the cone and jump onto it, and then edit through the cone up top. That's the full move right there. It's so fast, it gets you up layers, and it's super protected. This is one of my favorite moves in the game, and it can be paired up with that first one like I said. The reason I like it so much is because it gets you up 2 layers and it turns you around in a whole 180 so that you can be facing the enemy. It's like doing 90s but perfectly protected. To build off that last move, something I realized is when I'm doing those cone flips, like a cone flip 90 type thing, I get floored off a lot on my top. So I'm practicing doing a cone flip but with double edits above me. You can see that when I do the cone flip, I have a floor and cone on top. That prevents me from getting floored off, and I think a lot of people are used to people not placing floors there. So by placing that floor, a lot of people will think that, oh, maybe they got the floor, and when you double edit on them, they'll be surprised. All in all, I think this is just more optimal, and I gotta keep practicing that because it is a lot tougher, but I'm getting it down slowly but surely. The next thing I need to work on is doing this ramp edit. Kenbeans and I talked about it, and when we're trying to drop down a team, the typical way to do it is you take their floor and then you break the cone, you just spray it, and they'll fall down. But Kenbeans said I should start placing a ramp to replace their cone so that they can't hold their cone and keep jumping up there. But when you place the ramp, you have to do this edit here. This edit is a little bit tricky, it's an awkward angle, so I need to just practice in creative making this edit on repeat so I can get it down comfortably. This will lead to a lot more consistent spray down plays. The next little move that I realized I needed to start doing more was when I flip a ramp and edit a wall, I should start doing the top right triangle edit. I end up doing a window edit a lot of the time, and even if I set it up super optimally, the enemy is almost always able to trade damage with me. So I gotta start getting in the habit of doing top right triangle edits on edit courses where I end with a wall edit more often, if that makes sense. Check out your own gameplay, see if you're making window edits there, and if you are, see if you're winning the damage trades more often than not. And then on a similar note, when I do a high wall side jump, I usually do a window edit as well, but if you do a top right triangle edit, a lot of times it'll break their builds out because they try to connect to your wall. And if you do this top right triangle edit off of a high wall, it'll make it so they can't build and you'll get a free shot a lot more often. It's little stuff like this, you know, trying to find little things that you can add to your gameplay to make your gameplay a little bit more optimal that makes you get to the next level. The next thing that I realized I suck at is doing these quad edits with ramps and floors. I can do a triple edit with it pretty nicely, but when I try to do it like really consistently for a long period of time, I completely slow down and choke it. You can see that I'm just like really slow with it, and when I watch people like Kenbeans or any pro player really, they're super consistent with this type of edit. So I realized, all right, they're consistent with it, I'm not. That probably means I should practice it. I reached out to Mr. Beans and asked if there were any moves that he suggests I learn and add to my own gameplay. This is one that he sent me. When going to double edit through a floor and cone, a lot of times the enemy is going to be waiting for you to do that. So he told me that I should start practicing going out the side, just placing an extra wall and ramp on the side, and then swinging high walls into position after I get off to the side there. It's very protected, and if they're waiting for you to do a double edit, this will completely catch them off guard. Simply pretend like you're gonna double edit, maybe edit just the floor, and then go off to the side and do this move real quick, and you might catch some free piece control opportunities. And to end the day with thing number 10 that I need to practice is doing everything I just talked about and everything I know on 100 ping. I'm gonna start switching my server to EU and practice my free builds over there a lot more often, and the reason is, I choke my edits so frequently in endgames. When I'm in FNCS in a super laggy lobby, I realize that sometimes I just can't even do a simple wall edit. So, what do I need to do to fix that? Practice doing all my builds on laggier servers. I might even start doing like 1v1s and stuff on EU region just to get a little more comfortable with that lag. With all that being said, this is a lot of stuff that I'm adding to my gameplay, and if you want to keep up with me on my journey and try to follow alongside it, feel free to practice all the stuff I said in this video. Come back to this video, revisit the stuff you need to learn, and we'll all improve together here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, follow if you're new, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.